Yo, what's good? I'm Larry Ohh. I'm an FL power user, and welcome to the first episode / pilot episode / trash episode that we might throw out. Who knows? Is it going to stay? I don't know if it's going to stay, but here we're going to talk about everything FL Studio and music producer related. I have a co-host, and I'll let you introduce yourself, bro.
I'm John Phelps. I'm also an FL Studio user, musician, producer, songwriter, and
All of the
co-host
above.
of Larry Ohh Show.
Yeah, we don't even have a name. Is it the Larry Ohh podcast? Is it the You Get Me podcast?
Cast Me.
Is it You Cast Me? I don't even know. I just know it's going to go up online, and that's it. We're not, we're just kind of throwing things at the wall, and we're just going to run with it. But I know that I wanted to, start like an FL Studio podcast, just talk about FL Studio related stuff, and I hit you literally up yesterday. I was like, yo, you want to do a podcast with me? You want to co-host with me?
Yeah.
And it was kind of just like one of those things where I just kind of had to pull the trigger on.
Yeah.
I think,
it's about time too. Like, it's a long time coming. I think we were talking about it yesterday, just kind of catching up a bit. And it was like, you've been in the space for so long and been a voice for so many people. And now that the community's kind of gathered around you, I think that doing like long form content like this, and then, adding to your sort of like wheelhouse of stuff you're doing is like, now's the time, perfect time, really.
Bro, it's just one of those things where you kind of have to evolve with the way the market goes, essentially, right? So right now it's like I came up doing the short form content, and then I tried, the longer
the
form
shortest
stuff,
form
the
content
shortest
is
form,
great.
like on Instagram when it was before Reels. It was before you could even do a 1 minute video, bro.
That's true. It was before Reels.
So we
Wild.
started doing the FL content, and it just like picked up on Instagram. But ever since then, bro, it's changed so much. So I've had to evolve with the way the market goes, the way the way people consume social media. So I've had to evolve. And one of those things is I listen, like we were just talking about, like off air. I listen to Howard Stern. I'm a huge fan of radio, talk radio, podcasting, huge fan of that stuff. So it's something that I've always wanted to do. And it's like kind of one of my low key passions, and my high key passion is obviously FL Studio. So why not put the two together?
Yeah.
And, like I said on the phone yesterday, I thought of you, and it'd be like a perfect thing. We did a podcast together in the past, like 5 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, it was something like that, a long time ago.
4 or 5 years ago.
Pre-pandemic,
Yep. And then it wasn't like, there wasn't any real concept to it, but it was so much fun.
Yeah.
We vibed really well. It was kind of chaotic too, but which was fun.
Yo, yeah.
But
Definitely.
yeah, I thought it would be kind of like the perfect scenario. We do a podcast together about FL and producer stuff. So here we are. This is the fake episode. I don't know. I think we're just gonna post it.
It's wild to consider that you were doing the short form content before short form content was a thing really on Instagram, because like you had short videos that you could post, but it wasn't the same emphasis.
I kind of
I
kind of filled a little bit of a void where there wasn't. So it was the one thing. It was like a perfect storm. So I was trying different styles of content. I was posting producer content. I was posting beat making videos, and then I was just trying to find my little niche, like we all try to do. So I was just throwing things at the wall, trying to see what worked, what didn't work. Posted a tutorial one time, and I noticed that like there wasn't anybody on there doing that on Instagram. Obviously, YouTube had been a thing forever. People posting FL tutorials for a long time there. I felt like that wasn't my thing. I tried it though, and it just did not come natural to me whatsoever. If you go back, I'm sure some of the videos are still there. Maybe I deleted them, but it just like wasn't my thing. And then FL Studio content and Instagram just like clicked for me.
Yeah.
Just like instantly clicked. The first time I posted an FL little tutorial, it wasn't really even a tutorial. The first time I ever posted anything on there, it went. For me, it went,
relative
viral-ish,
to everything you had done.
Yeah, relative to anything
sure.
that I had ever done, it did astronomical numbers compared to that. 20,000 views, and that to me was like, oh my god, like this is where I need to be. This is where I need to do. So I finally found that thing, and it was really no audio, no voiceover. There might have been a song I put on top of it, maybe, but it was literally a screen recording of me in the top banner. It was, back then you could only do square. You could only do square videos and square pictures. They didn't allow the 4:5 ratio. They didn't allow the 9/16s. So it had to be a perfect square. I posted just a clip, a screen recording of me saying, make sure that your engineer is doing this. And it was me just like slicing audio clips, like vocal layers, and lining up the dubs and the layers underneath, like harmonies. And that's all it was. And it just sparked people in the comments, people asking, what is this? What are you doing? Or people saying like, yo, my engineer doesn't do this. Or people saying like, I've been doing this, you know, but it sparked some sort of emotion. And from there, my next video was an actual like tutorial. I think I did like the reverse reverb trick in FL, showing people how to do the reverse reverb trick in FL.
Yeah, classic.
And that one did really well.
Yeah. I feel like I remember that too, like because I remember the excitement of every day you posting something at like 10 a.m. Yep. That was the routine. And I remember the reverse reverb, especially just being like, oh, wait, hold on, I found something here. Yep. And it's like important that not only you go with what is popping out, so to speak, but also like having a type of content that people can fall into the comments with any sort of like way in that they can. Yep. Like one thing that I've noticed is that if you can put out a piece of content where people are like, either I've been doing this forever, or what are you doing, or my engineer doesn't do this ever. Like, you know, just like you can get different types of content that just push that engagement.
Right. That's what it's about, man. It's always like sparking some kind of emotion, or I mean, that's really what it is. Sparking an emotion in one way, shape, or form. So it's like, did I know this? Did I not know this? Do I agree with it? Is it controversial? Am I going to start an argument in the comments? So it's like all of that stuff. Yeah. And even, you know, the way I started doing it was that, but it was like, I want to just show things that people may not know. In FL Studio. That's where I started. That's what I just wanted to do, because it was like I said, like a perfect storm of events, kind of. FL Studio becoming the most popular DAW there is on the planet, pretty much one of the most, top 3, right? Yeah. Number 2,
we should definitely talk about that. I think that would be a good piece of video.
FL Studio. Yeah, let's go in on FL, like real FL stuff. So FL has been becoming. It has been like top tier, DAW, easily, right? As far as like just most used DAW in general, there's just so many kids, so many artists, producers using FL Studio for as long as I can remember. For the last at least 10 years, it's like it's climbed to ridiculous numbers. I would love to know their numbers and see like how many people are actually downloading it and using it. But I mean, like we know there's a lot of people that got it illegally, but there's also a lot of people nowadays that's a different topic. And I think they're making major moves and people actually like buying it and spending money, especially with the new subscription service they have and all that stuff. And they're making it kind of a no-brainer to spend money on it. True. It's like, I need this. Even though I wasn't paying for it in the past, I need to get this now type of thing. But yeah, I think FL Studio is...
It's the easiest to use and pick up.
Bro, I mean,
there's the most
when did you start on it?
Oh, man, my buddy Valor gave me a cracked version.
D Valor?
Yeah, D Valor makes the beat bang, brother. He gave me a version of it, cracked version. For all, you know what I'm saying? It's been more than 7 years. Let's relax.
We own it and pay for
I own it now. I own it now. Guys, please. But that was just like my introduction to it. Before that, I was actually as well messing around with the Reason. And Reason was cool, but what I loved about FL was it was just like easy. You just jump in the step sequencer, boom, right there. Like just start making music. And I think that having such a accessible program was really the best part about it for me. You know, when I was like 16 or something, learning how to use this thing, it's like, that's the biggest thing. Is it, can I make beats on this right now? Can I make some hot shit? You know what I'm saying? I don't know if we're going to be swearing on this, but we can. Yeah. I just want to be making some hot shit right away. And all the other programs, there's something getting in your way, I felt like. You know, like there's always a learning curve, but with FL, it was just the most intuitive for me. Yeah.
I think it's the easiest way right in the door to start making fire beats.
For sure.
I mean, there is a lot to learn about FL. Yeah. But there's also, it doesn't take much to get going. Exactly. And to get like started with, like, there's a lot of other DAWs that take a lot to like get in the door and get running.
A kick drum in there.
Yeah, just to figure out how to get a simple melody going, or even just to like pull in a loop, or like to pull in like so FL was always the easiest for me. I definitely, FL was the first real DAW I ever tried. Before that, it was like, I was just messing around with, when I was young, like hip hop EJ. I don't know if you remember that. You might be too young for that.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
I'm a lot older.
Is that like a Is that like a
no?
like
It's
a console?
it was a computer program, but it was like a Windows 95 like computer program.
Oh shit!
Almost like a game in a sense, like a video, almost like a computer game. It was like in that realm of things. It's
That's
like
wild.
It wasn't meant for anybody really doing music production. It was just like, all right, I can make music in this little game thing. It's like, it was almost like a game. It was like dance EJ, hip hop EJ, maybe like disco EJ, like different things. You just literally like pull in drum loops, melody loops,
and could you
stack them up on top of each
anything,
other?
Or was it?
I can't remember, bro. It's been so long. I think you can. I think you could have, because it was in the days of like Napster and MP3s. So it was like around that time. So I'm pretty sure you could export. But it was probably just MP3, very, very simple. Like, no.
I need to run that one time. Find a copy, like an emulator.
I should
pull that up.
Yeah, make a beat in there, sample it, bring it into FL. You know,
awesome.
That would be fire.
Yo,
I'm sure you can find one. It's probably like on a CD-ROM disc somewhere.
Oh my god, yeah,
somewhere.
And like a plastic book that it comes in, like snaps open.
Yep.
That's funny.
What was I gonna say?
And then you started.
So I started, So my FL journey was like day one started like, how can I make beats?
Yeah.
Because I had like beat in my car, like big speakers in my car. I was obsessed with beats, like the bass, how to make beats. I was like, yo, I never even would like listen to lyrics back then, and I was just like focus in on the beat, like hyper focus on the beat, melodies, drums especially. And I was like, yo, I need to figure out how to make beats.
Yo.
And me doing like a Google search came up, FL Studio came up. I'm sure Reason came up too, but FL just seemed like it was more user friendly. Got right into it right away, and shortly started like not watching tutorials, reading tutorials back then. That's how long ago it was. When I started out, there wasn't really people doing FL content on YouTube. In the forums. So the forums that they still have now, I'm pretty sure they were running back then. Wow. That's how they got all their information across to the masses back then. It was the image line forums, bro.
So you're not new to this, you're true to this.
Yeah,
you were
bro.
Reading tutorials.
Reading, bro. And I hate reading. But that's how you know I loved making beats and loved FL, is I had to learn it, I had to know it. So I would have to read. Yeah. I would literally have to sit there and read. Troubleshoot something, like, damn, like, I wouldn't even know how to ask a question. I was like, yo, how to make a drum beat in, back then it was strictly Fruity Loops. So I'm like, how to make a drum beat in Fruity Loops. I would have to search that in the forum or Google, and then maybe the forums would pop up. So I would be Googling things and the forums would pop up. It was probably even before Reddit. Maybe Reddit was probably around back then, but
maybe
people weren't talking about that stuff in Reddit and FL related stuff. So yeah, I'd have to read it. I'd have to type in something in Google or in those forums in order to learn it. That's how long I've been using it. Started out on FL 3 or 4. I think it was 4. Started out on FL 4. And then, just got every other one after that. Ever since, bro. I was just cooking up every single day in my basement, trying to cook up, But yeah, you use FL Studio for everything, right? You use it for like
I track
recording.
I track in FL. I do like guitar stuff in FL. Obviously, I make beats in FL. It's just like the one-stop shop. Like it really can just do everything in there. Even all the plugins that I use, partially because I'm not like a big downloader of stuff. But
I was gonna bring that up. You're a stock guy.
Stock.
Yeah.
Everything's stock. And what I like about that is that all the plugins are very transparent. A lot of them. I mean, like the Maximus and like, that kind of stuff does add a little bit of character. But like with a lot of the plugins, like the compressors especially, I don't hear too much going on until you start manipulating, like the compression rate, the ratio, all that stuff. So I think like for me, learning all that stuff native was cool because it just honed in on like, I don't know, like my taste.
And it almost made you more creative in a sense, because we spent a lot of time in the studio, and I would notice like watching your process, because I'm an observer. I'm sure you are too. And I would just watch you cook up and just get so creative with things that a lot of producers would say like, oh, like, you can't get a good sound out of this stock plugin.
Yeah.
Like, you would always find a way to get a good sound out of a stock plugin.
For sure, yeah.
Like, and that's just goes to show people, like, you don't need third-party plugins.
Yeah.
FL Studio is to the point, it was even to the point 10 years ago where you could make fire music with what they have to offer.
Oh yeah.
Like even in like a lower version of FL, if you bought the lower version and you had a handful of plugins to work with, you could make things work. If you knew how to manipulate FL, like you would do things like bouncing out audio, bringing them back in,
I still do that.
Yeah.
The version I have, like Biohazard, I have to print it in order.
It's like
to
a trial version
in order to keep the sound. Yeah, I mean, I pay for it, but it's
in the all plugins bundle probably.
Yeah. But I print it, and then what that allows me to do is, I mean, obviously those hard cuts, which like if you want a good, fire drop, just pull everything out, boom, you can just print the audio. But yeah, like I don't just through limitation, you get a lot of experience and a lot of like, I don't know, XP, I guess you'd call it. You know what I'm saying? Like through the limitation, you can create a lot of great stuff. Like a lot of great things have been done with a lot less is always what I remember.
Yep. You know, I find myself using a lot lately, Flex. I'm like, I'm not going to other plugins really. I'm not going to like, I found myself over the last year or two, especially not going to third-party VSTs really. I'm sticking in with Flex, GMS, even FLKEYs. If I just want like a piano sound, like just a generic piano sound, FLKEYs. I'm sticking within those and manipulating audio afterwards if I need to, like bouncing it out to audio, warping it, reversing it, adding growth speed on top of it, chopping things up, and like and glitching things out. Like, so I'm using, and I have like a couple extra packs that I might have bought inside of Flex, like the chill lo-fi pack inside of there. Have you used Flex at all?
No,
bro, you got to use Flex.
Get it on that, yeah.
Flex is crazy. It's like having like an Omnisphere in FL.
The FL21 update. What I love is like, first of all, the isolated clips when you can like individually heighten the volume. Also, did you notice that
clip
when
gain?
you're just one thing and boost the volume on it
in the playlist? You're talking, right?
Yeah. Have you noticed that when you're doing that vocal comping, that it'll like when it's in line with each other, it kind of like clicks a certain way? Have you noticed that?
No, I haven't even noticed that.
Dude,
get out of here.
I did that in 21.
So wait, what do you mean? It's
so like,
so you take one vocal take, and then you maybe clip gain it down a little bit, and then you're doing another one on top of it, but with that one muted?
No, so like when I'm lining them up, like comping it, what'll happen, I've noticed, maybe it's a setting, maybe it's like just part of it, is when they're in line with each other, there's like it like changes graphically. Like when they're in line, they kind of like cross fade a certain way. There's like something that happens visually, but then there's also like they click into place when they're lined up.
Really?
Yeah.
So almost like it's lining up the vocals, like
like almost like a tiny grid. Yeah.
Wow.
But in relation to the clip.
See, I haven't like I haven't recorded a lot in a bit since we probably we were in the studio together, so I haven't noticed that.
Yeah,
but that's wild.
That comping, it's great that the first video you remember doing was on comping like that, because comping is so huge. Like
it really is.
Grabbing the stuff and making it all like lined up.
And even since then, FL's made some like huge updates in the recording realm of things, like recording audio. Now that you can like lock in, and I know like other people that use other DAWs might be saying, "Oh, we been had that, we been had that." That's cool, but we
here now.
We here now. We don't. So those like little things are just goes to show you like how much FL and ImageLine is like listening to the community. Like they're like legit listening to what people are saying, and if things come up in those forums enough, they make it happen. They literally they put it into action and they make it happen, which is another reason why I just love FL, and I'll always stick with FL, because so many people use it to the point where they know like they want to keep them happy. They have such a good business model of it's all about the producer, it's all about the consumer. It just, I mean, the proof is there with the updates and the upgrades that they make. And now they're doing it to a point where they know, the market is going into this like subscription-based platform. And it can be a really good thing for consumers and for companies, but they also had in mind of how that subscription-based thing is kind of like ruined some companies out there. Like, not to name any names, but like, you know, there's a couple of plugin companies that have done that, and their audience has been like, yo, you're trying to just like get money out of us. You're trying to screw us. So FL Studio is like is riding this line, and they're riding it well, where they're doing the subscription-based service, but they're not saying, all right, like FL Studio is going to go to a subscription-based service. So now like anybody that's ever paid for it in the past is now going to have to subscribe to keep FL Studio. Like they're not doing any of that stuff. And they made a huge point in one of their videos about it. It's just for the FL Cloud stuff. So if you want access to the FL Cloud, which is now just like changing the game for FL users, because now like you put it this way, like the way I look at it is like Instagram, for instance, right? They're making it so like they want you to spend all apps, but Instagram, think of it, and TikTok, they don't want you to leave the app, right? So they're gonna do anything that they can to make you not leave that app. FL Studio's like coming at it with the same like point of view. So they're saying we want people to be in FL Studio and not have to leave FL. Let's make it the most comfortable situation for them and not have to leave. Let's give them everything that they need in FL. And they're doing it with the FL Cloud. So now you have a sample library that's going to grow by the thousands, probably per day, per week, per month of the amount of samples that are going to be in there. And then you have access to all that stuff. Then you have access to the AI automatic mastering. And then that's not to mention the stuff that's outside of that too, like the stem separation. Have you used that at all?
No. I saw a video you did on it though. That looks crazy.
And it's good quality. It's
I heard some of it, like isolated drums, isolated bass lines, all
vocals,
that stuff.
bass, instruments.
That's
and
crazy.
It's top quality. Yeah. It's really, really good.
It's crazy.
And that you don't need, that's just in the 22.2 update. That's not even in FL Cloud. The stuff that's in FL Cloud is the sample library, which that alone, have you like messed with the FL Cloud at all?
I got to. I got to get on
So
that.
like the FL Cloud, right? What's crazy about it is, you know when you're going through your library of sounds and you say, you have a beat and it's at 155 BPM and it's in C sharp minor. Now, and it's an established beat. It's like you're just trying to find like another loop for it.
Yeah.
Now with FL Cloud is you can tell it it already knows the tempo, and you could just type in the key into it, and then every sample that you play and audition in the FL Cloud menu is going to be in that tempo and in that key. So it even makes it easier to audition samples on the fly. Yeah. So you don't have to pull them in to see if it works. Like, oh, I love this sample, but I don't know if it works. Let me spend 5 minutes trying to loop it. Let's chop it up a little bit, or let's like pitch it, transpose it into the key. Takes all of that out. So even if that only does take you a minute or two, that's a minute or two you don't need to spend anymore. Yeah. So they're making it easier and faster to produce.
Can you set where it's like maybe the tempo is 155 or whatever? Can you search for that exact tempo and also
the filtering is crazy.
Also like the range, like it's fine if it's 157.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, wow.
The filter on that thing is crazy.
Yeah.
So you can find anything I'm pretty sure you can search and filter with anything within a certain tempo range and a key range, so it doesn't stretch it too much. You know when you stretch certain things too much, it gets weird. So then you could say, all right, like I only want to find samples within this key range, so it doesn't stretch it too much when I audition it.
I mean, that's gonna take things like how much slice out the game.
I didn't want to say it, but you said it.
Yeah, I said it.
I've said it. I've said it too, bro. I've said it. I've said it. To a few other people.
What I'll do is I'll like have the thing playing, and then I'll pull splice up, and I'll hear if something sounds interesting. But if they've got their own database right in there,
bro, you're not gonna need to leave.
You're just in the mix.
That's what I was saying. They're making it too easy for people to just say like, damn, I just gotta subscribe. It's too undeniable that if you can spend $20 a month on Netflix, you could spend however much a month on FL Studio, $10 a month on the FL Cloud, and you can now get, first of all, you already get lifetime updates. So once you buy FL, it's bought.
That's another thing too.
Free updates for
They're
life.
not penny pinching with that kind of thing.
No, they're not.
Some people will just be like, oh yeah, you got the subscription, but here you go, you're gonna have to, you know what I mean? It's like, no way.
Bro, that's what I was saying earlier.
For life.
Free that will never change. They made a huge point of saying that because they know like this subscription thing right now has like like a bad taste in some people's mouths. So when they hear subscription, they're already questioning what's going on. But FL's doing a really good job of keeping that cool. And so yeah, free updates for life still. And they're making it undeniable for people to just say, I'm gonna spend the $10 a month because this is like too easy, too ridiculous. I can unsubscribe from this, I can unsubscribe from that. I don't have to buy these packs anymore from these people unless I really want to. You know, now people are it's just changing the game for FL users. And it's gonna make a difference, I think, with some sample companies and with some with some plugin companies too, because people are gonna maybe start sampling more because it's so accessible.
Right.
So they're gonna say, like, I don't even need to go buy a plugin now when I can just stay in here and have endless samples that are royalty free, pay X amount of dollars per month, and just have endless samples because they update it every day and there's new sample packs in there.
It's cool to consider like how the style of sampling has changed and is going to continue to change with these different softwares and stuff, like the style of sampling. Because like, I think like when a lot of people hear like, you know, like things like Splice or things like the library, they automatically go to like loops. And sure, like a few years ago, people would be like, oh, like there was all that discussion about like, is looping sampling and is whatever, like whatever.
Cheating.
Yeah, cheating. Make good music. That's as simple as it gets. Make good music, no excuses. But with all these other plugins that are also included in all this stuff, it's like you can now manipulate sound in all these different ways that like back in the day, you know, you'd rip from vinyl. Back when I was learning how to sample, you'd rip from YouTube. You know what I mean?
People still do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I've been known, you know, even to this day, like I like just, you know, pulling right from, you know, YouTube videos and stuff.
But if you like, flip it in such an obscure way where nobody's ever going to hear it or tell, it's just like, that's the thing. It's like, oh, like using loops is cheating. Like, I mean, yeah, it's not though. It's not. Like that's how, like if people really go back and really think about like how, especially rap and hip hop was started, this is how it started. So if you're mad at it now, it's like you should be mad at how it started. It wouldn't even exist right now,
right? If
it wasn't for people sampling and looping.
They would be like, oh, you didn't have a real bass guitar and make that funk loop. It's like, no, no, bro, of course not. I had a drum machine, dude.
People are worried about the wrong shit.
Oh yeah,
there's so many conversations.
But a lot of those people are just justifying their like inability to actually come up with something dope.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, that's cheating. You can't do it like that.
You know,
it's
people
like,
get mad when they see somebody spending a less amount of time than them on something, and they're like, yo, like, you shouldn't, you know, you should have been spending an hour and a half on that melody or something like I do. Like, that's really what it is. What it is sometimes.
The Grouch, dude.
Yeah. Like, I spent all this time on this music, and it doesn't really get that, it doesn't get recognition, but you go and sample, and it gets 1 million views. Like, sampling's cheating. You cheated to get those 1 million views. Like, that's how some people think.
Yeah. The landscape is forever changing. You know what I'm saying? And like, more than anything, I think that this new style of like how people are interacting with the app is just like allowing a new style of production to occur. And it's always going to be led by, you know, younger people that are more open-minded to what these apps and things enable them to do. And that's just going to make the music sound new and different and fire. There's going to be stuff that's amazing. There's going to be stuff that's derivative and terrible, but that's always been the case. You know what I mean? Even from the best eras of music that we always think about, there was 1,000 other artists aside from the main guys that we always think of as being the GOATs that were just making, you know, whatever, contemporary lame shit.
Yep.
But, you know, they're like, they were still using the tools that were given to them at that time. Like, should you not use an electric bass?
I know you could go back
only
to
use an acoustic bass.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, that conversation can go like that's why. Like I've made some content like that in the past, and I'll never do it. I won't do it anymore because it's just like.
What, like clutter up the comments with just people fighting?
Yeah, like I mean, like people are doing it really like because they want to get things running in the comments. They want to get arguments going. I've done it in the past. I'm guilty of it, but there's definitely a part of me that was like I want to know like what people are thinking, and I want to try to change some people's minds because this is just my opinion.
Yeah,
but like, do you think this is cheating? Here's my opinion. You know, that kind of thing. Like I'll give my opinion on it. So, you know, it is what it is. But I like kind of like refuse to talk about that stuff anymore and like on socials, because it's just like, I don't know. It's like beating a dead horse at this point. It's like there's people that are gonna have that mindset, and you're not gonna change their mind, and let them, because you're probably not gonna make it too far with that mindset. In my
That's
opinion.
true. Yeah, people like
you're gonna limit yourself. You're spending so much time thinking about something that is irrelevant.
Nitpicking, yeah,
it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Like you could think it matters all you want, but in the reality, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah,
because people are doing this and they're making good music and they're making a living off of music, doing what you say is wrong.
Right.
But guess what? You say it's wrong, it doesn't matter, because there's people making a living off of that, and they're doing it. And you're wasting time worried about somebody else.
And even like even if they're not making money with it per se, there's kids recording their music on their iPhone through like wired in AirPods. Like not even the like the wireless joints, like the ones with the wire. They be right into the mic and making songs.
And they're getting it done.
They're getting it done. They're getting that, you know, back to that idea of like getting that XP, getting that experience point where you're just
using
like,
apps like BandLab.
Yeah.
Or
BandLab is awesome.
And FL Studio Mobile.
Yeah.
Changing the game, bro.
Yeah.
Like they put a lot of time into that. We don't even, nobody really talks about that. You should see the amount of comments that I get where if I drop something like a pack, right? Like let's say I drop a preset pack for FL. How do I use this in FL Mobile? How do I use this on FL Mobile? I get a ton of comments. And I'm like, bro, I don't even know. Like, I don't use it like that.
Interesting.
But it just goes, it's showing me that so many people are using FL Mobile because maybe they don't have the money to get a laptop. They don't, but everybody has a phone. So you can have access to that on a phone as well. But it's showing me that there's a ton of people just getting it done.
Yeah.
Like they're just getting it done any way that they can.
It's within this.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Just the same way that when you started making those like high yield videos, it was for the most part in the phone.
Yep.
You were, you know, getting the video in your phone. You were editing the video in your phone. You know what I'm saying?
I'm still doing that right now, bro.
That's what I mean.
I'm still doing it the same way. I edit all my own videos still, even my YouTube videos right now. I've had editors in the past, but I'm just getting it done, bro.
Because you remember, like, FL's had some, like, visual stuff in it, too. I wonder, like, if
there's
they
you can edit videos in there. Like, you can do, what do you call it? I don't see anybody using it, though.
I know.
Like, the last time I tried it, even with my good computer, my shit crashed.
I had played around with a little bit, like a little bit of the video editing stuff. But, again, like, it didn't click the same way that the music production stuff did. But if they teamed up with somebody who's kind of doing that cloud-based video editing stuff, like maybe a CapCut, you never know. That could get crazy, dude. All of a sudden, you're dragging stuff into this window. It's AI generating visualizers for you, bro.
Is this running now?
That's the stuff. That was the stuff I like was really in the market for a few years ago.
What was it called? Z Editor, Z Game Editor, or something like that?
Z Game Editor. Z Game Editor. What they had. Yeah.
So I tried it because I wanted to make like this is when I was posting beats on YouTube.
Yeah.
I was trying to do the beat sales thing, the beat stars thing. So I was like, all right, let me try to do this. Let me try to make some like visuals for my beats. Couldn't happen. I was just like, I wasn't really into the videos, like computer video editing. I was good on my phone and stuff, but man, it was just like a different language to me.
Yeah.
And like my computer crashed a couple times. Like I don't know what I was doing wrong. I don't know what I was doing.
Yeah, it didn't have the same like intuitive feel that the music production side did. Like they dialed it in with that. They nailed it with that. But you know,
it uses a lot of CPU. I remember that. I don't know if it's changed since then, but I remember it being heavy, CPU heavy. Even if you were doing some not so like crazy stuff, like kind of basic stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe it has a lot to do with a graphics card too, though.
Might.
Because I never had a really good graphics card because I'm just like, I do all audio stuff. So let me spend the money on RAM, CPU. Like, let me spend the money there. And I don't. And plus, when I built my computer, it was during the pandemic or around that time, and the graphics cards were going crazy.
They were going haywire with that
because people were mining Bitcoin and stuff. They were using the graphics cards, and they still do, to mine cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
So they would quadruple
like
the price.
8 towers or 12 towers all spread across your room.
Yep.
Just mining Bitcoin. Like, day and night.
So instead, I spent my money on the other stuff.
Yeah.
So that might be why you probably got to have a good graphics card to run that and run it well. But yeah, I haven't gone back into that in a while. I don't know if they improved it or what. But all right, so what I wanted to get to before that camera stopped was, you do, like you said, we do your vocals in FL. You record, you track, you mix, you produce in it. So when you do a vocal chain, your vocal chain in FL Studio, what's in your vocal chain? Because since you use stock plugins, it's going to be interesting because there's a lot of people that use just stock only plugins.
Yeah.
They don't want or need to spend the money on them. So what do you use in your vocal chain in FL? Top to bottom.
It definitely, in terms of the order, it definitely changes, but it's always got the FL compressor, like Fruity compressor. It's always got
the Fruity compressor or the limiter on the compressor setting?
I do the compressor and then I have a limiter as well.
Okay.
I do the fruity limiter. Yeah, I know that there's the multiple tabs in that, but I'll use the compressor, then
first?
I'll have the limiter. Generally first, just to kind of get like, I love when you put the compressor on, the bite that it just naturally adds. Typically I'll put like a little bit of reverb. I'll taper that off with like EQ. EQ is generally like the last, like subtractive and additive EQ is generally like last in the chain for me. Cause like I find that when you put the EQ after things like reverb and delay and stuff, it naturalizes the tone, especially like with those digital delays and digital reverbs. There's a lot of like that super high end, especially where you're like, it doesn't sound genuine. And I like, even if it's a little muddy in the mix, I kind of like that feeling. Like I like my stuff with more mud than shine.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? But yeah, the vocal, and then a lot
So
of
you
gain
put reverb
staging,
in
too.
the chain, like
So
you go compressor, reverb, EQ. So you don't do a reverb send.
No,
Interesting. That's interesting though. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's like I used to do it like that until I found
bussing and all
bussing and sends, like until I like got hip to that.
Yeah, I'm sure if I like spent some time doing more of that, like I'll I'll do like side chain for like bussing side chains and stuff like that. But for like I don't know, I like the character of different like elements having their own reverbs and stuff. So I'll put like the reverb on the insert itself, you know.
Dope. So you got compressor, reverb, EQ. Then what?
I'll usually put like a limiter after, say like those additive, like you know the delay, the reverb. There's a phaser. I'll generally like mess around with putting like things like chorus or flange or phase either before or after the compressor. Just kind of like seeing how it feels, you know what I mean? How it feels in the mix. That's the kind of stuff that changes each and every time. And then like EQ, is generally like the last thing. Or if it's a additive EQ, I'll put like that before compression.
Gotcha.
So that way, when I'm kicking up any frequencies, it's getting glued back with like some sort of you know compression.
So you're using, to go back to the names of the plugins, Fruity compressor, Fruity reverb 2.
I like 2.
Okay.
I like 3. For like I like
delay 3. You mean
delay 3?
So reverb. I was about to say, damn, they made a Fruity reverb 3, bro. You know something I don't.
Yeah, right.
So Fruity reverb 2, which
Love that.
Somebody uses Fruity reverb 1, I think there's something wrong with them because I don't even know. I don't even know anybody that uses that. But so Fruity reverb 2, reverb.
Yeah.
And then you got the EQ, parametric EQ 2.
Yeah, I'll use 1 sometimes too.
I had a feeling you might.
I like that for some stuff. I also like the EQ.
Why does the visuals mess with you and make you think?
No,
what's the point? What's your reason for going to
just
1?
Messing around, keeping it fresh. You know, sometimes you're just like, let me try this out, and like, you know, kind of test yourself. Because I feel like with that first EQ, parametric 1 or whatever it was, like you're looking at it differently, and you're learning the relation between like the knobs and stuff.
You're using your ear more than visual.
Exactly.
I think with what happens with a lot of people, especially me, is that I think, you know, when I'm using the parametric EQ 2, I'm going almost like 50-50. Yeah. I'm going 50 off a sight, 50 off of ears.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that hurts me. It hurts my EQing.
I'll switch it up, just to kind of, make sure I'm paying attention to what things are actually doing. Same thing with that little EQ that's in the bottom.
Oh, yeah. I remember you using that a lot.
Yeah.
back
Just
in our
like,
sessions.
scooping out some of the like super low stuff. It's really good for that. It's like really.
It's more harsh than the parametric EQ too.
It is.
It's more of like if you do a hard cut in there, it's a hard cut.
Yeah.
Whereas in the parametric EQ2, even if you do a high pass or a low pass shelf, right? It's stuff still sneaks through there.
Yeah.
Like you'd have to put like 2
too.
or 3 of those in that same setting in order to kill every frequency that comes through. Where it's kind of like a good thing and a bad thing, but it's just something that you got to keep in mind when you're using those EQs. But like you said, that little one down in the bottom right, that thing.
That's the secret.
That's
assassin.
That's
right
a hard cut.
Yeah.
Which is funny. Like I'm wondering now, like if you go back and we really, before maybe they started making all these plugins, that was probably what they told people as was the go-to EQ. You got 3 bands, bro. You got low, mid, and high.
Yeah.
You want anything more? I don't know what to tell you. Or maybe that's when they
that.
had just the parametric one and that. So people were utilizing that a lot.
Yeah.
But every so often I'm like, I just need a little bit more EQ. Maybe I know exactly what I want. Why put a parametric EQ2 on here if I just know that I just need a hard cut on the lows up to 200, That's it. I just need a hard cut, 200, boom, just use that one left low band and then that's it.
Yeah, and they kind of, again, like what you said, it kind of trains your ear to be in tune with what you're actually doing. I think that's what for compression, like learning what compression does to vocals is such a big part of your journey. I think like learning what compression does and learning about gain staging is like the two major sauce. Once you level up with those two things,
how do you gain stage? I'll tell you how I gain stage and what my point of view is on gain stage, and I want to hear yours. Like
in FL, I start with that step sequencer and how it has that knob that's usually like at 90% or whatever.
The volume knob on the left next to the
knob.
panning knob.
I'll set everything at like that 50% mark, so that way everything that's coming through is just at like a headroom level. And then
know for a fact you're not going to be clipping.
Yeah, exactly. And then, or if you are clipping, it's because you went back and we're just like, I want a little extra right there.
It's a wanted clip. If
it's a wanted there. Yeah. And then, because then any headroom that is, that is imposed upon by like any clipping, you're just doing it because you're like, but again, you only learn that once you realize about like the gain staging thing where you're pulling things back in order to give more shine to certain other elements.
Yep.
So like, when you first start gain staging too, you'll notice like all of a sudden, damn, why is it like every time like my sub is so loud now? Oh, it's because I'm gain staging now and like relearning effectively like how I'm mixing.
Yeah.
But like when you want something louder, sometimes you need to make something else quiet.
Yeah, for real.
You know what I mean?
I mean, because you only got so much room at the end of the day too. Like like you said, you gotta. A lot of times that's what it is. A lot of times it's like, damn, the snare isn't like peeking through my mix the way I want it to. Maybe it's not turning the snare up. Maybe it's turning the melodies down that are kind of like hitting the same frequency range.
Or sometimes it's not about EQing something out to get rid of or EQing something up like the snare. Like, instead
it's EQing, dipping the, like maybe
sometimes
you have a melody
it's not
bus.
even about that. You just is your shit gain staged the right way or the way that you need it to be.
Exactly. So like, I'm pretty much a very similar process to gain staging in FL. The way I do it is like, say if I'm cooking up a beat and I start with a melody, I might not gain stage that right away, but as soon as I know I'm gonna add another plugin or another melody on top of it, I go to that first one. I'm not doing it like in the step sequencer, but I'm doing it like inside whatever plugin it is. So like inside the plugin, which is the same thing. It's literally you see the knobs moving at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So like it's that same exact thing. I'm turning that down to like 50%.
Yeah.
And I'm not even like a lot of people ask me like, what level are you gain staging? I don't even worry about the dB that it's hitting. I know for a fact, pretty much any plugin, if I turn it down to like 50%, 45, whatever percent, I'm gonna be good. And then I kind of like use that as a baseline from there on out. Add another melody. As soon as I bring the next plugin in, as I know it's gonna be too loud, I'm turning that down to 50. Yeah. I go even to the point where, say, if I'm cooking up and I forget to kind of gain stage, I'm in that moment where I'm not gain staging at all and everything's like all over the place. It's clipping on my master because I don't even have anything on my master yet. Not even a soft clipper.
That's
and I'm like, yo, why does this 808 sound so distorted right now?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I haven't gain staged anything yet. I haven't even put a soft clipper on my master, nothing yet.
Typically, that's when I know the vibe is right on the beat. If it's just like, I didn't touch any of the levels, I'm just making this thing hit. You know what I mean?
So sometimes I'll just go back and then I'll go 50, I'll copy that knob, and then I'll just like paste it on the other knobs all the way through the mix. And then, you know, I kind of go from there, and then I'll move it into the mixer and just start mixing from there. But yeah, I mean, gain staging is everything. You create so much more room for yourself by doing that, and it's just a good habit to get into. I've gotten into like such a good habit. Another way is, it's like, say if I'm mixing other people's music, say if you send me stems, right? You send me all your stems. The way I gain stage that is slightly different than I do if I'm producing a beat from scratch. The way I gain stage that, and this might be, it might seem stupid to some people, but maybe I'm creating more work for myself. I don't know. But what I'm doing is I'll take all of the clips, and I wish there was a shortcut for this. So FL, if you're listening, please, I've gotten asked this too. Make a shortcut for this. Normalizing. I'll go into all the audio clips, and I want to normalize every single one in one shot. Maybe it already exists, and I don't know. So let me know in the comments if it is. But I don't think so. That would have heard. I think I would have heard
about that by now.
The image line, we need it because I get asked a lot, and I've been asking a lot. I've been wondering if this is going to happen. But I'll go into every audio clip. I'll normalize it so it goes to the loudest before it clips. That's just something visually. The clips, and this was before the clip gain and before you could zoom in. Like, I've always wanted to just see the clips in a bigger form so I know what I'm looking at. I know what I'm doing. I'm a visual guy. I want to see it big. So, you get vocal takes and they're like so thin and small. I need to see it because if I'm editing and I'm chopping stuff up, I want to see what I'm chopping up. So I normalize it, bring it up. Then I go 50%, copy that knob. And then before the crossfades in the playlist in the new one of the newer updates, I would have to do generic bleeding on every single one. So I would go to declicking mode and generic bleed on every single one. So my process took me probably, if I had a track that somebody sent me and it had 50 stems, it would take me a while, but saves me so much headspace in the future because it's just like, if I have that set, now I know I can go in on the mix. So I would pull up an audio clip. I would gain stage 50% on the volume, normalize it, declicking mode, generic bleeding on every single audio clip. No, my bad. One thing that I missed is I'll send it to the mixer too. So I'll click the little track button in the top mixer. So that way it sends it to the mixer and names it. People sleep on the tools tab. The macros.
Macros, I was going to say. Like, that's some sauce.
You know what I go to the macros for a lot?
When you're... Go ahead,
So there's a few things that I go to it a lot, but there's one specific thing that I use it a lot for, and it's the create an automation clip on like third-party plugins. So like you don't use a lot of third-party plugins, so you don't have to deal with it because that's another thing with FL Studio stock plugins is that you can right-click any knob and automate it, anything in FL, right, for stock stuff. But if you have a third-party plugin, like let's say, I don't know, Effectrix I use a lot, or if you're using Omnisphere and you want to automate a specific knob in those, you move the knob that you want, then you go to tools, then you go to macros, then you go to last tweaked. And create an automation clip. So the last tweak that remembers the last knob that you tweaked, and then you can create an automation clip based off of that last knob.
So you play out the automation the way that
you don't even have to play it out. You just tweak it. And so that FL remembers the last thing that you moved. And then the automation clip is based off of the last thing that you moved. So make sure that that's the last thing that you moved before you go and choose that. And then, but that's the other thing too. So it's like with that recording the automation, you can also do that in third-party plugins. That's one of my favorite ways to automate because you get such a real feel out of the automation. So third-party or stock. If I'm doing a filter sweep, I might use parametric EQ2, and I might hit record, right-click the record button, hit automation, so it's only recording automation. You know that. So you can record notes, audio, automation, etc. I choose only automation. And then I hit record, and then let's say I want, a low pass. I'll choose the low pass, take that knob, and sweep it while it's recording, and then it records
for the feel.
For the feel of it. Because doing that, you could do it like with the clicks.
Pencil it in or whatever.
Yeah, you could pencil it in with the clicks, but sometimes you just get that real human feel out of just sweeping it physically with the tool.
And if you got like a controller, some people have like controllers hooked up and they can just get that feel just
the
the way they
FLKEY.
want.
Have you ever messed with the FLKEY controller, the Novation one?
No, I haven't.
Bro, I have the smaller one, so I think it's the 37 key, which I think now they might have an even bigger one. So when they first dropped them, it maps perfectly right out the gate with FL. So you plug this thing in, the stop button works. You can choose a certain scale in the piano roll. So you hit scale, you can make it so anything that you play on the keyboard is in a certain scale. So you can't hit a wrong note. Kind of like how scale highlighting is. If you go in the piano roll and you use scale highlighting like that, so it highlights only the notes that are in the scale. It does that essentially with the keyboard. The stop button maps up.
This is the FLKEY? You said it's called?
It's called the FLKEY 37. Well, 37 keys.
So, yeah.
And then I think they have the 49 key. And then now they have a 60-something key. You know, like
They
what
sell
the
that at Guitar Center? Where they have
I
that?
think pretty sure they have it at Guitar Center.
All right.
Novation just sent it to me. We did like a giveaway and stuff, so I have one from them sending it to me. Which this is the first time people don't talk about it enough, bro. This is the first like piece of hardware that came out that's like really meant for FL.
Yeah,
that is to that extent. Ableton's had stuff like that before. The Ableton Push, I think. You use Ableton? No, only Cubase. Yeah, we talked about that before too.
ChatGPT. One thing, ChatGPT, they gotta enlist like some better, like when you try to use ChatGPT to write lyrics, their lyrics be so dry.
Yeah.
Yeah. They gotta hire somebody who really knows that. Oh, is that the workaround?
Bro, like now that you have here's where it could kind of get crazy. You might be able to where it's getting better. What is it at, like Chat GPT 4 now? So it might be getting to the point where your name is in their system somehow. So
yeah,
I want it in the style of John Phelps.
Boom. Yeah.
Because you put music out there, it might be able to search you.
Yeah, because I feel like it pulls from like it gets like what is it called? Like exact rhymes. It gets that. But what it doesn't pick up on is like the swag. You know what I'm saying? When you say something a certain way and it rhymes.
Yeah, that's where there's going to be a lot of limitations.
Yeah,
even in beat making is what like the same thing. So there's a lot of
it's like that in between. You know what I'm saying?
That's going to take a long time for AI to perfect that. But that's when it gets like really scary
at some point though. Yeah, when it gets to
that, it's gonna be like, man, like,
well, shit.
I guess my job's done.
Yeah. I thought that was a pretty clever line, but I guess ChatGPT just.
No, how long we been going right now?
7 days.
Since 105 we started recording?
Hour and 5 minutes. Nice.
So maybe we can wrap up the first episode. I mean, we talked about a lot. Nice little introduction. We got a lot done. I think it's gonna be a good test run. If it goes up, it goes up. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We'll see after I watch it back again. But yeah, man. Again, I want to just say thanks for hopping on and co-hosting this thing with me, bro.
Super humbling to be even thought of. You know what I'm saying? So I'm happy to be, happy to be here, happy to be involved, and it's exciting. It's like the first thing that came to mind was when you called me. I was just like, oh, it sounds fun.
Yeah.
So that's boom.
I think it's just gonna. Yeah, that's what it's gonna be, man. That's what I want it to be.
Good.
Just fun. Just talking. Shooting shit.
Shooting the
and
shit.
Thank you guys for doing this for us and having us. This is an awesome spot, Boiler Room Studio, Providence. Yeah. Let's get it. Yo, so thank you. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to the Larry Ohh Podcast. You Get Me Cast, whatever we're going to call it. Who knows? You get me. That's it.